Some events in history simply have no answers. They are disappearances without a trace, indecipherable codes, sounds that come from nowhere, civilizations that vanish like dust. And the more experts investigate, the more questions arise. Today, you will learn about 50 of the greatest mysteries that remain unexplained to this day and may never be solved. Let's start with flight MH370. In 2014, a Malaysia Airlines Boeing 777 disappeared with 239 people on board. No emergency calls, no known diversions. It simply disappeared from radar. To this day, only fragments have been found in unlikely locations in the Indian Ocean. How does a plane of this size disappear in the 21st century, without leaving a digital trail? Another striking case is that of the Flynns Lighthouse in Scotland. In 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers simply disappeared. The door was locked from the inside, the meals were uneaten on the table, and there was no evidence of a struggle or escape. The only clue? A diary entry about a storm that had not begun. To this day, no bodies have been found. In Japan, the Adurbune Girl incident has intrigued historians since 1803. Fishermen recovered an oval-shaped boat floating in the sea, with a young woman with an unusual appearance and strange clothes, speaking an unknown language. Inside the boat, there were symbols that no one could translate. The most bizarre thing? She showed no fear. And she disappeared soon after. And what about the Voinich Manuscript? A 15th century illustrated book written in a completely unknown alphabet, with non-existent plants, unreal star maps, and human figures and strange rituals. Linguists, cryptographers, and even artificial intelligence have tried to decipher it without success. No one knows what it says, or why it was written. Speaking of codes, we have the mysterious sound of Taos. A low vibration frequency heard by hundreds of people in the town of Taos, New Mexico. The sound is described as a constant buzzing sound, coming from nowhere, felt more than heard. But equipment doesn't capture anything. And yet, people keep listening. In 1959, one of Russia's most terrifying cases occurred, the Dietlav Pass incident. 9 experienced climbers were found dead under bizarre circumstances, tents ripped open from the inside out, bodies with unexplained fractures, missing clothing, signs of radiation. No official version is convinced. Theories range from an avalanche to military tests, to alien contact. And in Italy, the disappearance of Emmanuela Orlandi has haunted the Vatican since 1983. The daughter of a Vatican employee, Emmanuela disappeared after a music lesson. Anonymous letters, voices and phone calls and threats from within the church itself fueled the mystery for decades. The case is still open, and shrouded in an uncomfortable silence. The Baltic Roar is another unexplained phenomenon. A deep, trumpet-like sound was heard in several countries bordering the Baltic Sea in 2012. Recordings of it have spread across the internet. No physical source has been identified. And what's even more frightening? The sound was recorded in several countries, at the same time. Now let's move on to the Bermuda Triangle, perhaps the most famous mystery on the planet. An area between Miami, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda where dozens of ships and planes have disappeared without a trace. Clocks stop, compasses go crazy, communications fail. And the strangest thing? In some cases, everything has disappeared, without bad weather or mechanical failure. Science has tried to explain it with currents and methane gas, but has never managed to close the equation. What if you were told there was a second Bermuda Triangle, in Japan? It's called the Dragon Triangle, south of Tokyo. Similar reports, disappearances, equipment failures, giant waves that appear out of nowhere. Fishing boats, military ships, and even commercial aircraft have been lost there. A mystery the Japanese have known about for centuries, and still avoid today. In 1930, an entire village disappeared in Canada. The Eskimo village of Anjukuni, with more than 30 residents, completely disappeared. No signs of a struggle, no tracks, food still cooking in the pots. Even the dogs were found dead, buried in the snow, but looking extremely hungry. Nothing was stolen. No bodies were found. One of the largest undeciphered codes in the modern world is the Codex Saraphinianus. Published in 1981, this book has over 300 pages of surrealist drawings in its own alphabet, with no explanation whatsoever. The author has never revealed its true purpose. And no one, not even AI, has been able to translate it. What is he trying to hide? In 1977, a radio telescope in Ohio picked up a signal from deep space. It lasted 72 seconds. Its intensity was constant. It never repeated. The scientist analyzing it wrote next to the data, "Wow." Ever since, it's been called the WOW signal. It's never been picked up again. It doesn't look natural. And to this day, we don't know where it came from. In England, there is the mystery of Tamshu. In 1948, a man was found dead on the beach, unidentified, with a piece of paper in his pocket that said Tamshu, a Persian expression that means it's over. In his pocket, there was an encrypted code linked to a book. The book was found days later, in an abandoned car. To this day, no one knows who he was. Or what killed him. What about constructions that don't make sense? The Ica stones in Peru are an example. There are hundreds of rocks with carved designs of dinosaurs, humans, surgeries, and ancient maps. Most were found in caves, others buried. Scientists disagree on whether they are fraud or real possibility. But no one has explained their origin or why they depict scenes that were impossible for the time. In Australia, the case of Frederick Valentic is one of the strangest in aviation. In 1978, he was piloting a small plane and reported to the control tower that there was an aircraft above him with green lights and strange movements. Minutes later, his last transmission picked up a metallic sound, and the plane disappeared. No wreckage was found. In Rome, there is a tomb with a sculpture of a young man, but his eyes were carved in such a way that they follow the observer wherever he goes. But that's not the strangest part. The Latin epitaph contains a mathematical riddle that no one has completely solved. The tomb is called the Gate of Heaven. And according to legend, whoever deciphers the code will open something that shouldn't be there. In the United States, the disappearance of Brandon Swanson continues to baffle authorities and family members. In 2008, he called his parents after leaving a party saying he was stuck in a ditch. During the call, he described where he was, until he screamed and the phone went dead. The police never found the car or any trace of Brandon. He simply disappeared in the middle of a call. In France, the disappearance of the Dupont de Ligonnès family seems like a movie plot, but it was real. In 2011, Xavier, the father, disappeared along with his entire family. Days later, the bodies of his wife and 4 children were found buried in the garden, covered in lime and covered in Catholic prayers. Xavier was never seen again. And to this day, there are those who believe he is alive. In 17th century Germany, a book was published with indecipherable language and symbolic images connected to alchemy. Called Mutus Liber, the Silent Book, it has no text, only sequential images. Some believe it describes the process of creating the Philosopher's Stone. Others think it is an esoteric code. But to this day, its true purpose has never been explained. Speaking of the Philosopher's Stone, one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world is the legend of Nicolas Flamel, a French alchemist who supposedly discovered the formula for immortality. He was buried in Paris. But when his tomb was opened in the 18th century, it was empty. His name still appears in documents after his supposed death. Was it a myth? Or did he really discover something that no one else had the courage to seek? In Greece, the ruins of an ancient city called Heli disappeared in a single night after an earthquake in 373 BC. Ancient writings speak of a giant wave that swallowed everything. For centuries, it was believed to be a myth until, in 2001, archaeologists found its submerged remains. The strangest thing? It was exactly where the Greeks said. But why was she forgotten for so long? In India, the mystery of the Chand Bauri staircase intrigues architects to this day. There are more than 3,500 steps symmetrically distributed in a deep well of water. The engineering is so precise that it looks like it was designed by a computer, but it was built in the 9th century. How? And for what? Some theories speak of rituals. Others, of a connection with the stars. nothing is conclusive. In the US, the sound known as the Bloop was recorded in the South Pacific Ocean in 1997. It was a low, powerful, and completely unknown frequency. The sound was detected by microphones thousands of miles away. The problem? It didn't match any known pattern of animal, earthquake, or underwater activity. The only certainty is that it was huge. In London, the case of the Istl Lady remains unsolved. In 1970, a woman's body was found partially burned in a Norwegian forest, with unidentified objects and a no-origin label sewn into her clothing. He traveled to several countries before his death, always using false names. The police never discovered his identity. Some say she was a spy. Others, something much bigger. In Chile, scientists have accidentally detected a glitch in time. A group of geologists studying plate tectonics in an isolated region claim to have lived a full 5 minutes, in one. According to them, all their digital clocks stopped and then returned to normal, except for their biological clocks. There was never any physical proof. But they all reported the same thing. In Egypt, a tomb was found completely sealed, with no signs of tampering, but with one macabre detail: the mummy inside was facing the wall. This goes against all the funerary rituals of ancient Egypt. There were no records of who he was. Only a symbol engraved on his chest, an eye with 3 dots above it. The meaning? Unknown. In Russia, during the construction of a building in 1972, workers found an underground compartment with metal walls that did not rust. Inside were engraved symbols and a floating sphere in the center of the room. The government quickly closed the place. No official information has been released since. But locals say that at night, the place still emits blue light. In Australia, a woman named Lois Gibson found a porcelain doll in her backyard that she had never bought. Thinking it belonged to a neighbor, she threw it away. The next day, it was back. This went on for 3 weeks. After burning it, the doll disappeared. But a week later, her daughter claimed to have found an identical friend in her room. In 1518, France experienced the so-called dancing epidemic. Dozens of people began to dance compulsively in the streets of Strasbourg. Some danced until they died. Literally. Without rest, without explanation. Historical documents record the event. No one knows what caused it. Mass psychosis? Hallucinogenic fungi? A curse? No theory has been proven. The solder case is one of the most disturbing in the United States. In 1945, a house caught fire. 5 of the 10 solder children disappeared. But no bodies were found in the rubble. Years later, photos of similar children appeared in anonymous letters. The police never closed the case. And the parents died believing that their children were alive, somewhere. In London, there is a coded letter that was found inside an old book in a second-hand bookstore. The letter is from 1889, talks about a warning for the year 2025 and describes events with surprising accuracy, such as pandemics, environmental collapse and artificial intelligence. The handwriting has been authenticated. The contents remain a mystery. The city of Aokigahara, Japan, also known as the Suicide Forest, holds an eerie aura that goes beyond the statistics. Many who enter report feelings of disorientation, distant voices, and the constant feeling of being watched. Compasses fail. Trails change. And some leave, saying they were not alone. In 2011, the case of Lars gained worldwide notoriety. He was on vacation in Bulgaria, apparently healthy, until he called his mother to say he was being followed. He was seen on airport cameras running desperately, dropping his bags, documents, and then he disappeared. No explanation. No clues. No motive. On a beach in Oregon in 1983, more than 200 shoes were found, with human feet inside. All the feet were in an advanced state of preservation, as if they had been protected by something. No body was found. And none of the feet have been identified to this day. Similar cases have occurred in Canada and Ireland. In 1961, Betty and Barney Hill reported the first widely publicized case of alien abduction. But what is most striking is that both, under hypnosis, described the same place, the same beings, and even details of a star map that would only be discovered years later by astronomers. Was it a collective delusion? Or memories of something real? Finally, the mysterious Black Sun Circle in Germany. An ancient stone formation, perfectly aligned with the sun during the winter solstice. Nothing has been recorded about its construction or its culture of origin. But the most bizarre thing is that on certain nights, the temperature inside the circle drops 5 degrees lower than outside it. Always. Even in summer. The world is full of stories without answers, and we may never have them. But as long as there are questions, mysteries will continue to fascinate us. If you enjoy this type of content, subscribe now, activate the bell and comment here. Which of these mysteries do you think we will never be able to solve?